not quite the shores of the Sea of Galilee, but beautiful Lake Mare will do for this 2-minute theology question. We hear of Peter's mother-in-law, but no mention of his wife. Who was she, and were any of the other apostles married? I have a fun personal story to share at the end of this one about this particular gospel, but we read this in Matthew chapter 8, verse 14. They're in Capernaum, and when Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, the fever left her, and she got up and began to wait on them. No mention of Peter's wife, and we don't hear of her in any of the other gospels, so this gives us reason to believe that at this time Peter was a widower. On an occasion like this where Jesus was coming to his home, this wouldn't be a time when his wife would just be away. She would be there for this great moment. And it says that Peter's mother-in-law waited on them, and this would typically be the custom of the wife to host the guests, to host Jesus, and to be available for them, and she's not there. So most likely Peter was a widower. What about the other apostles? Well, we have no mention of a mother-in-law or of a wife of any of the other apostles, so we don't have reason to believe that they were married. We do hear St. Paul giving defense of the apostles in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, when some people were kind of taking offense that the apostles were traveling with women. And depending on the translation, sometimes we read wives, but St. Jerome in his translation, in his Vulgate translation, puts sister women to say that these were not wives traveling with them. These were women that were sharing in the ministry. And for a number of reasons, this might be for full immersion baptisms that were taking place, for the women to assist with that, for modesty's sake. When they were traveling to homes, it would be more appropriate for a woman to go into a widow's home or a woman's home to teach the faith to them, or to share in the pastoral ministry with them. And so we don't have any other apostles evidence of any kind of wives, and we know for sure St. Paul himself being a celibate apostle. The cool story for me personally was my deacon year. Our whole class went to visit the Holy Land and made a retreat there and a pilgrimage, and at each different holy site we visited, we drew straws to see who would be the deacon at the Mass. And the place that I drew was Peter's house in Capernaum. And so I was a deacon at Mass, and it was really amazing church. They built it above the remains of Peter's house in Capernaum, so you could see the different rooms and the kitchen. And at the altar there is a glass case where you can look down through the glass case and see the remains of Peter's house there. So whenever I come across this gospel, the healing of Peter's mother-in-law, I always remember that moment where I just got to see firsthand this gospel in this place, and just imagine, the joy that was there with the apostles and our Lord, and just the excitement of knowing the Messiah and being with him. Going forward, what do we want to do for a 2-minute theology? We want to talk about demons. Do we want to talk about saints? Do we want to talk about the Middle Ages? What does Uhtred and the Last Kingdom have to do with the Catholic faith? Please send us your questions. Want to know what you're interested in. I'll give you a hint on the last one. We don't call him Saint Alfred the Great for no reason. God bless y'all. See you next time.